to my channel. I'm Rosa Maria. Today I have a wonderful sewing project to share with you, and we're going to be making the Stacy pouches. And this is a great pattern. It comes in two different sizes, and the pattern is from I Think So. And what I like about this pattern, it is very diverse, is very convenient, and is also multi-purpose. I like the fact that it has two zippers in the front where you can store small items, and it has an interior zipper inside. You could also store other items in there. It's great to protect all your electronic devices, and in this tutorial I'm going to be focusing on only working on the large pouch size. But in the second video, I'm going to be making part 2 is to work on the smaller pouch for those who prefer the pattern in a smaller size versus a large size. It gives you two options to decide what you prefer according to what you're looking for in your needs. So let's get started. Our first step to start our sewing project, I cut the pattern piece, and the one that I cut was the exterior back, lining front and back, and that's the large pouch. So I cut one exterior and I cut one interface, and again I cut out another pattern piece, the exterior back, lining front and back, large pouch. I cut two interface and I cut two lining pieces. I cut the back zipper pocket, large pouch, and I cut 4 pocket pieces, and I cut out 4 interface pieces. The exterior front large pouch, I cut 3 pieces, and this is the 3 external front . And here I cut 3 fleeces, and this is the external front large pouch. The front zipper pocket back, I cut 2 interface, and I cut 2 pocket pieces. And the front zipper pocket bottom, I cut out 2 interface and 2 pocket pieces. I didn't have on stock in my little area in my room that I keep all my zippers. I didn't have the 3.5-inch long zipper, but I did have the 16 inches long zippers. So I'm going to use these instead of purchasing the smaller size. Since I have so many, I can shorten the zipper. So I'm going to be showing you how to shorten the zipper. And I have here 2 other zippers. They're a little more narrow, and one is going to be for the lining pocket for inside the bag, and this one will be for the pocket for the external outside of the bag. The tab, I made a change. I decided to make it 6 inches long, and I decided to make it 1.5 inches wide, and I cut 4 tabs for the printed side. That's the external side, outside of the bag. For the zipper here, I am going to take one of the panel for the front, and I'm going to place a zipper on top. So I'm going to use this panel that I cut as my little guide. So I'm going to use this to measure from one end to the other end. And I'm going to take, I don't have a white erasable water marker, but I have here is a Taylor's chalk. So I am going to use this Taylor chalk to help me mark where I want the zipper to end. So over here, I am going to mark it over here that I want the zipper to end over here. And then I'm going to pull the zipper open. And I'm going to hold this together, and then again I am going to mark. This is where I want the zipper to end. And I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, and I'm going to show you how I stitch these two corner ends. Okay, here it is at the sewing machine. I am going to lower my foot all the way to where I marked the here at the sewing machine. I'm going to make small stitches going around. I'm going to show you how I made those stitches. I'm going to lower my foot presser, lower the needle, and I'm going to back stitch a couple times. I'm not sure if you can see it here in the camera, but this is what it looks like. So I'm going to stitch the other end of the zipper. And now you're going to do the same thing for the other two zippers. You're going to mark them, and once you mark them, you're going to go take them to the sewing machine, and you're going to do a little stitch as I demonstrated here. We're going to take our tab, make sure that you iron it and remove all the creases. I'm going to take the printed side and face it down, and I'm going to fold it in half. Take my iron and iron it. Open it up again. And where I made the fold mark with my iron, I'm going to use it as my guide to refold the fabric piece again. And do the same thing to the other side. Iron, refold again, and I'll just iron it nicely. I finished the other second tab. Now we're going to take the zipper. As you can see, I stitched one end of the zipper and the other end of the other zipper. I'm going to take my pair of scissors, and I'm going to carefully just cut off that end. I make sure that I don't cut it before that stitch white line. I'll cut it after, and do the same thing for the other side. then I'll take my tab here and I'm going to put the end of the zipper where the folding is and sandwich it together. I'll take one of my clips to secure it, and I'll do the same thing to the other side. Sandwich it together and clip it. And then we're going to take it to the sewing machine, and in that sewing machine we're going to use 1/8 allowance to sew across, and we're going to do it to this zipper and the second zipper that I already prepared for. So let's head off to the sewing machine. Okay, I have my foot presser here set and ready. I'm going to lower my needle, and I want to make sure again that I have 1/8 inch, and I'm going to start to sew. As you can see, there goes the 1/8 stitch, seam allowance, and you're going to do the same thing to the other end of the zipper. We finished sewing the tab onto the zipper. You're going to notice there's going to be some extra tab sticking out. What I usually do is I just take my pair of scissors and gently just snip off the extra piece, and do the same thing. If there's any extra piece hanging out from the tab, just take your pair of scissors and just gently just snip off the excess. And once we're done, I'll show you the next step that you need to do. We're going to take the exterior front piece here of fabric and make sure that you iron it very, very nicely. Once it's nicely ironed, I'm going to face it down, to print it side down, and I'm going to tilt my mat so it makes it easier for me to see what I'm doing. I'm going to take my fleece here. This fleece has a very rough side to it, and one side is nice and soft. So the side that is very rough, I'm going to place it on the fabric over here. And I want to make sure that it's nicely aligned. Everything is centered. I'm going to flip the fabric up again, and I'm going to take my iron and I'm going to iron the fabric to the fleece. I'm going to see if it needs to be ironed again. So if it is coming out, so I'm going to iron it again. So now that it's nicely ironed, you're going to have some extra little fleece popping up. Usually what I do is I just take my pair of scissors and snip off the extra fabric or the extra fleece that is sticking out. This little end here. And then I'm going to take one of my zippers and I'm going to place the zipper that you see here side, just place it facing it down, and I'm going to try my best to align it there's some extra tabs sticking out, that's okay, but try to align or center the zipper. And I'm going to use clips here to secure the zipper on to the exterior fabric here. Once I'm done securing the zipper onto the fabric, I'm going to take it onto the sewing machine and we're going to do a straight stitch right across, as you see here as I'm showing you. Okay, I'm here ready at the sewing machine and I'm going to start to stitch across and remove my clips. Reaching here where the zipper is kind of preventing the sewing machine to continue, I'm going to open up. First I'm going to raise my foot lever, pull my zipper open, lower my foot here, and then I'm going to continue to sew. And back stitch. And this is how it should look like. Now that I finished attaching the zipper to the exterior front, I'm going to put this aside and I'm going to take the lining piece and I'm going to take the interface piece here, and here on this side is very rough also, and this side is also smooth. So I am going to place the rough side onto the lining of the exterior front, and I am going to flip it around, and I'm gonna start ironing. It's nicely pressed. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the exterior bottom part and I'm going to place the lining onto the edge here of the zipper, and I want to make sure that it matches the exterior fabric. And I'm going to use the clips to secure it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the stitches that I used to attach the exterior front to the zipper. I'm going to use it as my guide to stitch along to attach the lining. I'm going to start sewing 1/8 by top stitching. Little back stitch. stitch. I finished attaching the lining onto the zipper. Now I'm going to flip it over, as you can see, and I'm going to iron this flat. Once I finish ironing it, I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to do 1/8 top stitching, straight line, as you can see here. Before I continue to sew, you see here there's a lump here. I have to open the zipper to get the zipper out of the way so I can sew. So let me start sewing now. Back stitch and remove your clips as you're sewing. Now I'm hitting where the zipper is. I am going to lift my foot presser and I'm going to close the zipper now. And now I can continue sewing. Back stitch. As you can see here, I finished top stitching here. Now we're going to move to this other step. We're going to take the exterior front. Oh, let me just show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like when you attach the lining to the zipper. It doesn't look like this. And also I forgot to mention, make sure that you have a coordinating thread for the bobbin to make sure it matches your lining. So if your lining is pink, the bottom bobbin is going to be pink. But for demonstration purpose, I'm just using a white thread. So now back to this. Now I am going to take the exterior front here and I'm going to face the printed side down. And I want to make sure that is aligned with my other exterior front. And then I'm going to start to clip together, start securing it. And once you finish securing it, we're going to take it back to the sewing machine, and then we're going to straight stitch because we're going to secure again the exterior front onto the zipper. Okay, before I can start, again, the zipper is going to prevent me from sewing, so I'm going to lower it, open it by lowering it, and then I'm going to align this again, and then I'm going to start to sew. Just making sure everything is okay. We start back stitch like always. I'm going to move the zipper by closing it. And let me continue now. Let me make sure that everything is okay. stitch, finish attaching the external front to the zipper, and this is what it looks like. Now I'm going to unfold it, and I'm going to take my zipper and I'm going to attach it. And also I wanted to also show, if you prefer, you can also start your zipper by placing it this way if you like, but I prefer to make my zippers going this way. As you can see, I like it that way. So you could, one thing about this project is you decide where you want to put your, where you want to place your zipper. So I'm going to place my zipper here at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that it's centered, and I'm going to face it down, and I'm going to clip it, secure it, and once I finish securing the zipper onto the external front, I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and stitch right all here, all across, straight stitch. Now I'm going to start to stitch straight all the way down to attach the zipper to the exterior front. Back stitch. I'm here near the zipper. I'm going to slide it open and get it out of the way. Let me open this a little bit more. Lower this down. Back stitch. Now that we're done, now we're going to move on to the next step, and the next step is to attach the zipper, the front zipper pocket bottom. I already iron on the interface. So for this, we're going to flip the solid side onto the zipper. I'm going to line it, and again clip it. And then we're going to take it to the sewing machine to make a straight stitch to attach the zipper. Here again, I feel the zipper here in the bottom. I'm going to slowly just unzip it, and I'm going to start to stitch now. Back stitch, I finished top stitching here. Now I'm going to take the exterior front and make sure that you iron your fleece to the back. I'm going to take the printed side, I'm going to face it down and make sure it's aligned and centered. And I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch all the way straight down. Now that we finish attaching the front zipper pocket bottom onto the zipper, we are going to turn it over. And we are going to iron here. Make sure that you iron all this down flat. Once you finish ironing it nicely down flat, we are going to take it to the sewing machine again, and we're going to top stitch 1/8 here. Okay, let me start stitching. Put a nice press here with your iron. And I'm going to flip it so you can see the back side of it. And then I'm going to take my front zipper pocket back, and I want to make sure that you iron your interface in the back of the lining for both. We're going to be using both of them for both. And I'm going to place this. Let me just focus on the first one here. I'm going to place the solid side facing down and make sure it's neatly aligned. And I'm going to take my clips and clip it together. And then the same thing for the second one, making sure that the solid side of the fabric is facing down and attaching it to the zipper here on top. And the same thing, securing it. So I'm going to focus on the bottom one first. As you can see, I secured it to the zipper, and I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and straight stitch right across. I'm going to make sure that I remove the pocket lining out of the way, and I'm going to stitch where I stitched the other lining pockets of the fabric onto the zipper. I'm going to use that as my guide. Coming close to the zipper, let me open it. I finished one side here. Now work on the other side where you want to attach the pocket. Now that I've finished sewing the bottom part of both of these pockets, I'm going to face this front, and as you can see, we already top stitched here. Now we're going to do the same thing to this side. For both sides over here, we're going to both top stitch here, and we're going to take it to the sewing machine. Okay, now I'm going to start to stitch both of these pockets together at the end. Finish with this pocket. Now I'm going to go to the next one and finish sewing all the way to the bottom. We finish attaching the front zipper pocket on the bottom and also on the second one. Now that that's done, I am going to clip it because I'm going to stitch right here at the end. But as you can see, there's going to be extra fabric over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pair of scissors and I'm going to just cut off the extra fabric that I see here. I'm going to fold it back a little bit and then just snip off the extra. And then do the same thing for the next one. There'll be a little extra one, that's okay. I'll just sniff off the extra. And then I'm gonna clip together. And as I mentioned, I'm gonna take it to the sewing machine and stitch just these two together. That's it, and do the same thing for the top one. Just stitch this together, and the reason why we're stitching it is when we put any items in the pocket, it won't fall out. Okay, remember, you're going to use 1/8 to top stitch all the way down the fabric. now continue doing the same thing for the other zipper here, top stitch 1/8. You can see we finished top stitching both. Now I can open my zipper, and this is great, and using the interface gives the pockets more strength because you can be putting a lot of stuff in here. Same thing over here. The pocket over here where you could put more things in there, and I can close it. Now that we've finished doing that, I'm gonna take my zipper here. You're gonna notice there is no tabs. I'm going to cut the excess here off. And now I'm going to face my zipper down and align it as best as I can. If there's any little extra, I just cut it off. And then I'll take my clip and sandwich it together. Just move the zipper a little bit. And then once I finish clipping it together to sandwich it together, I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and sew all the way straight across. Okay, let me start stitching. Okay, next step, make sure that you iron on your interface on both of the lining pieces. We're going to be working on just one of the lining pieces. I'm going to put one aside. And let me make sure I center this so you can see a little bit better what am I doing. And then the pattern piece here, as you can see, indicates where the zipper is going to be placed. So I decided to cut that area out and use this as a template to mark where I'm going to be placing my zipper. But before I do that, make sure that you take your two pieces. These are the back zipper pocket, and also make sure that you iron on the interface on both pieces. And again, I'm just going to put this one piece away, and I'm going to focus on just one. And again, I'm going to take my template and I'm going to center. I want to make sure that I have at least an inch away. And then I'm going to center my pocket in the middle. Okay. And then I'm going to take the pattern piece that I made as a template. Yeah, because I want to make sure there's enough space here, at least an inch or inch and a half here on the top. And then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to make a straight line. And this friction pen is washable. So if you make a mistake, it's okay. So I'm not sure how I'm going over here, but let me just stick over here. I gotta start over here, make my little line, shift this back, place this ruler down again here to make sure that the line is straight. I'm going to flip this side of the template. Use my ruler. And then outline the other. Let me just put the ruler over here better so I can see. Okay, let me just do the same thing for this one. It's a little bit off over here, I just noticed. Okay. And then close this end here. And then I'm going to make like a little little mark here on both ends. I'm going to make a little V. And then I'm going to take my ruler again. And I'm going to connect both of these ends by using a straight line. Just making sure that it's straight. And I'm going to take my pins here, and I'm going to use the pins to just secure the pocket down to the lining. So when I take it to the sewing machine, it doesn't shift or move, it just stays put. Let me secure this end here too. So I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, and where I made only the outside of the box, I'm going to stitch right on these lines and make it into a little box. And then I'll show you what else is needed. As you can see, I just already placed the fabric down so I can start stitching the pocket to the lining. And I'm going to use the lines I have marked here, as you can see, as my guide. And again, I'm going to mention again, I'm just going to stitch around the box. Back stitch. Getting closer here. I just want to make sure. This is as close as I can get it. Okay, now I'm going to pivot. And I'm going to continue. Just take my time here. Pivot again. Okay, it's a little bit off here. So let me just raise this up a little bit. Continuing stitching down so you can finish making the stitch around the square box. I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera, but this is what it looks like when you finish stitching all around the box. I went a little bit ahead of myself. I kind of snipped here at the end, and then I took my pair of scissors and the line that was here that was marked, I used it to cut it, and then here, as you can see, I was able to just gently snip. Just make sure that you snip. But the other zipper we're going to be working on for the exterior, I'll give you more details. I just went a little bit ahead of myself and I wasn't paying attention. But this is what it would look like when you cut the opening. And then I'm going to turn this inside out. And once I turn this inside out, I'm going to show you how we're going to be ironing it. Okay, back here at the wool felt mat, I am carefully trying to smooth it out so I can start to iron it. Let me start this way. This part here. And you kind of slowly work around and make sure that it's nicely pressed down. This little part here gets wrinkled, that's okay. Don't have to worry too much about that. Let me flip this to the other side. Wrinkly, that's okay. Now let me flip it over. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like when you finish ironing it. The wrinkles will eventually minimize. And I noticed over here I should have made it a little bit wider. Well, that's okay, mistakes happen. So I'm going to just kind of work with this. Now that I have a little window opening, and then I'm going to show you how to place the zipper on this lining piece. Okay, here's my zipper that I'm going to be using, and I'm going to place this little window right on the zipper. In order for the zipper not to be shifting when I'm going to be sewing, I have here Wonder Tape. I have here a 12-inch zipper. So this is a zipper I'm going to use. So I am going to place the zipper underneath here and use this as my little window so I can see the zipper and open it and close. And when I take it to the sewing machine, I'm going to stitch around, making it into like a long rectangle shape. And I'm going to be using this Wonder Tape. Wonder Tape is very great because it will help me keep the zipper in its place. I don't want it to shift when I'm sewing. So let me just peel this and just place it gently at the edge here. Remove this extra little piece of thread here. So I'm gonna place that there. And here's the second piece. Let me see if I already peeled it to make it easier for me. Okay, let me see. Okay, I can't find the little peel. I think I'm looking at the wrong one. Okay, let me take the second one and then just put it again here at the edge. And this is great because, as it says, is a Wonder Tape is washable, so it will eventually disappear. And then I would take the pocket and then slowly aligned it. If some pieces are sticking out, that's okay. Like I said, eventually it'll wash away. And then just to make sure I give it a nice secure, I take some pins and pin the bottom of the pocket. And I'll take some pins just to secure it on top. Just to make sure that nothing gets caught when I'm sewing the zipper. And now let's take it to the sewing machine. I'm going to open up the zipper so I can continue to stitch. Having a little problem here. Okay, now I got it. Okay. And just lower this presser foot back down. And let me continue. I'm reaching here at the end. I'm going to back stitch and I am done sewing the zipper onto the pocket. I finished sewing the zipper to the pocket. I'm going to take the solid side and face it down. As you can see, I made a big mistake. I was supposed to attach the solid side facing this way. But mistakes happen, but on the next step, I'm going to be showing you how to do the exterior pocket. So I'll make sure that I'm more mindful and pay attention to make sure that the interface is facing down instead of facing up. So now the next step we're going to do is we're going to take the back zipper pocket, and I want to make sure that I take the solid side and face it down, and I want to make sure that it's aligned on top here. You can use your clips, you can use your pins to secure it. If it's a little bit off, that's okay. Just continue to pin it around, and we're going to take it to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch all around to secure both pockets together. Back here, the sewing machine, now we're going to start to stitch the two pockets together. Now we are done sewing both pockets pieces together. I already completed sewing the two pieces for the pocket together, and this is what it should look like, where you can put more of your items in here. Now I'm going to move on to the exterior pocket. I have here the exterior back, and I have the printed side here. In the back, I iron on the interface. Once that's done, take your back zipper pocket, and I'm going to use my ruler, and I want to make sure that it's about 1 inch away from the top here, and I'm going to center it. I'm just eyeballing it, but you can measure it over here just to make sure that both ends are here the same. So I'm going to flip this the other way around. When I was making the lining pocket, I should have not placed the solid side facing up. I should have placed it down, facing down. And I'm going to do this now. Now I'm going to take my pattern piece here, line it up, and take my friction pen and outline where the zipper is going to be placed. Flip it to the other side. And do the same thing. I should have used my ruler to help me outline it better. But I think I did pretty good without the ruler. So let me just line this up a little bit. I just want to make sure it's straight. And I'll use a solid line that I just drew as my guide. I'm going to take my ruler. Well, before I do that, let me just make my little triangle here. Then take my ruler, make a straight line. Oops. Okay, let me just move it a little bit further. No, it's not. I'm going to take my pins and I'm going to secure the pocket lining onto the exterior, and then we're going to take it to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew right along the line here for my zipper. So once you finish securing the pocket to the exterior, let's head over to the sewing machine. Okay, let's start sewing, and use the red mark that I made, the line, and sew right around it. stitch. Now I am done. Now that I have the Wonder tape on both ends of the zipper, I am going to take the fabric and I'm going to slightly open the not open, but open the zipper a little bit and slide it in. Yeah. And then close it a little bit. Okay. Looks good. And I'm going to take some pins and see if some pins and just secure the pocket here. I'll work on this in a second. Let me just take another pin here. Okay, let me just press this a little bit. Take a little iron, just give it a little steam here so the Wonder tape can stick to the fabric and to the zipper. So I'm going to take it now to the sewing machine, and again I'm going to sew around the zipper opening here. I finished sewing the pockets together, as you can see. This is great. And now I'm going to show you the next step that we're going to be working on. We're going to take the front exterior panel here and we're going to lie it down on the table and make sure that it's facing up. And then we're going to take the external panel back with the back pocket. And we are going to face this external back panel back. And then as you can see here where the zipper is, here at the zipper we are going to line and start clipping the back panel exterior to the zipper, because then we're going to take it to the sewing machine and stitch across. So make sure that you have this clip sandwiched together, and then we'll take it to the sewing machine. Take it to a sewing machine and start stitching across. Now we're going to work on attaching the lining. As you can see here, here is the exterior back with the pocket. And of course the front exterior with the two pockets on front. So I'm going to take the lining that has the pocket, and I am going to place this on this end over here, and I am going to also clip it, and I'm going to continue to clip it, because again I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to straight stitch across. When you finish attaching the exterior back and the front exterior together, this is how it's going to look. And we're going to go on to the next step, and I'm going to show you how to attach the lining pieces for this pouch. Okay, let me start some back stitching. And I make sure that the zipper. I finished attaching the lining piece with the pocket onto the zipper, as you can see. Now I'm going to take the other lining, I'm going to face it down, and then I'm going to attach it to this other end of the zipper and do the same thing. I'm going to clip it, take it to the sewing machine, and do a straight stitch. And that's what it looks like. We finished attaching both lining to the zipper end, as you can see. Now we are going to do the final stitch, and the final stitch we're going to be stitching all around. But before we do that, we're going to take both linings, as you see, together, and you're going to clip them together. And before we do any further clipping, I'm going to make sure that I have about 4 inches space, because that 4-inch space we're going to be using to turn the fabric inside out. So for the sewing, we're going to be starting from here, and as we sew all around, we're going to end over here. And the same thing here, just make sure that the exterior, both exterior panels are together, and continue clipping all around, and take it to the sewing machine and start stitching all around. And now where we made the 4-inch gap on the lining, we're going to take the exterior fabric and we're going to pull it inside out. I'm just working the lining inside the exterior. Once you finish turning the inside of the fabric out, the next step that you need to do is the lining where we made the 4-inch space. You need to close it in, and you can slip stitch, or you can use a sewing machine to do that. You can just basically fold it together, as you can see as I'm doing here. take it to the machine and stitch it as close as you can to the edge of this lining. And once you're done closing in the lining, then you finish making your project. One thing I forgot to mention, and also I forgot to do, is I forgot to do a top stitch here on the top as we did here on the other two zippers. So I want to show you a closer look. Like you see here, that's what I forgot to do. So once you're done stitching everything, you finish working on your project. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and if you like it, please give it a thumbs up and also share with your friends and family. If you're not yet a subscriber, please click on the subscribe button and also click on the bell, and YouTube will notify you when I upload a new video. So I'll be working on part 2 of making the smaller version of the Stacy pouch. So hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye.